All right, everybody. We're starting our weekly Likutey Moharan shir. Last week, we started lesson 78 in Tinyana. So we're going to be continuing that. Just a few announcements. As I like to say, the shirim are all up on SoundCloud. If you check out my SoundCloud account at Shaya Sussusman or Nach Daily, or on the Breslov Research website and YouTube channel and SoundCloud as well. So you can find all previous shirim there. And anything else about that? And this year should be a refuah shalema for Reb Chaim Kramer, who I've been using his svarim over here. He wrote all these. I don't know how many volumes he spent his life work with the English footnotes and everything. I used them to prepare this year, and I've read many of his books. And I've met him, spoken to him on numerous occasions. So I'm very excited about that. And this year should be a refuah shalema for him because he's still getting over the whole COVID thing, like many. Okay. So I want to do a recap. We'll do a little bit of an in-depth recap because the Torah is very deep and it's very there's a lot of different points here. So we'll do a recap and then we'll pick up kind of from where we left off. We're also going to have, this week we don't have a Parsha connection, but we do have a Shevuos Connection and we have a Megilas Rus Connection because it's the last year before next Thursday night is already Shevuos. So I'm already thinking about Rus. You know what they say? Why do you read Rus on Shevuos? It's to connect to your roots. Connect to your roots. I know, it's terrible.
I'm going to use that one. I'm going to use that. That's a good one.
You need to connect to the roots. How do you know the Jews had a headache at Har Sinai? Because they took 2 tablets. I know, it's terrible. They only get worse. They only get worse from there. How do you know when it says math, you should do math in the Torah? Because it says you should divide and multiply. I know. I know, it's horrible, guys. You're encouraging the bad jokes. Okay. So now let's do a recap on the Torah over here a little bit, and we'll catch us up. So basically, it's lesson 78 in the second chelik in Likutey Moharan, called Ish Prastik, as I'm calling it, simple man, or some people call it the treasury of unearned gifts, as we're learning about. So we're dealing basically with a question over here. There's 1 or 2 questions that Rabbi Nachman asked, and he's speaking about these things. So he's talking about how it's impossible for a person to stay on the same level always. That even Rabbi Nachman says that there's sometimes the Tzaddik is an Ish Prastik, a simple Jew, who, as we learned last week, he said about himself, I don't remember anything at all. All my levels have been taken from me. I don't remember anything at all. So even big tzaddikim, they need to fall levels. And kol shekain, someone like me or anyone else, we're already simple to begin with. So even more so, people like us. So I think there's a tremendous amount of CASAC there. Also. But what he's saying is that that a person can't always stay on the same state. And that not only can they not stay on the same state always, but it actually goes against the rules of creation. That no matter who you are, even if you're a very big tzaddik, you will always go down in your feeling level for life. You're in an emotional state. And as well, he ties this in. He asked the same question, but what he asks is he moves on to talk about this in terms of learning Torah. That he says, how is it possible for a person to separate from Torah even for a second? Right? Even for a second, how's that possible? So in other words, why did Hashem make it that a person at times in their life need to be separate from Torah? Right? If Torah is your life, it should be impossible to separate it for a second. But yet we see even a person who's a tzaddik, even a person who's a Talmid Chacham, even a regular person who's just trying to hang in there are times in their life when we need to be separate from the Torah. This calls to mind to me, I was thinking about the Gemara about David HaMelech, that it says that David HaMelech was, when it says David HaMelech died, that the Satan was trying to kill him and get him, but David was learning Torah the entire time, so he couldn't get him. So we all know this Gemara, right? So what happened? The Satan made I think there's different girsas or different ways the Gemara ends, but it seems that the Satan made a sound outside or a stair fall. I don't remember. It's the sound from from a tree rustle or a tree fall. And then David, he got startled and he slipped. It startled his mind for a second. And basically, for that split second, he stopped learning Torah. And then all of a sudden, the Samech Mem, the Satan, took his life, right? Because the Torah protects a person's life so much that the Samech Mem, the Satan, has absolutely no power over the person to a certain extent when they're learning Torah Lishma, as we were learning about last week. But yet you see even David HaMelech, he was unable to be distracted, which means no matter who you are, whether you're the biggest tzaddik in the world like David HaMelech, or whether you're a regular person, it's impossible to always be learning 24 hours a day. As I'm saying by David, he was even distracted. He tried, but he wasn't successful in the end. And ultimately, that's how he left this world. He was nostalgic from this world. So we went on to say, and it's kind of going to catch up. I want to catch us up from where we left off. So we went on to say that Hashem created a certain system at hand. So again, the question is why did Hashem make it that a person needs to separate from Torah? And we're going to come back to answer that question. But there's a little preface, I guess, for clarity's sake, there's a preface to this. So we went on to say that Hashem created a system as follows, that simple people all receive their life force from the energy of the tzaddik when he falls on a lower level. So when the tzaddik becomes totally regular, when he falls to a low level, that is when he dishes out a certain type of special energy, a certain type of light that he receives in that moment, and he gives that out to all the simple people. So simply stated, the reason why Hashem made it that the person needs to fall, the tzaddik needs to fall, is because there's a special light, and I'm going to delve into this a little bit more, right? There's a special light that tzaddik receives, that when he receives that light, he's now able to dish it out to the entire world, and that sustains everything, even non-Jews, he writes. All the pshutim, the Umas HaOlam, the non-Jews, everyone gets sustained from this energy, from this light that the tzaddik receives when he's in a simple state. So therefore, Hashem made it that you can't always be in the same state. You have to fall to a certain level. This way, this special type of light, which he's going to call the Otzer Matnas Chinam, the light of free gifts, or what he also calls synonymous with Derech Eretz Yirsael, the light of the path of Israel, that light now comes into the world, and other people delve it out. And other people now receive it, and it's all coming through the tzaddik. So I just want to explain this a little bit to clarify and to make it a little bit more, flesh it out, to delve it out a little bit. So basically, how does this work? That the tzaddik gets this light and now dishes it out to the other world. What is the nature of this light? And just what's this whole process here? Why did exactly Hashem set it up that the tzaddik needs to fall down to a lower level in order to delve out that light into the world? It means Hashem could have just put that light into the world straight. And Rabbi Nachman's actually, we're going to see tonight, in a certain element, Hashem did put that light into the world straight. But again, how does it work? So everyone's following so far, I'm assuming, yeah? You guys are with it, okay. And all this, obviously, like in Likutey Moharan, all this gets clear as we learn more. So it works like this, that Hashem created the world with his tremendous chesed, right? And he wanted to bestow his ultimate good on the creation. So this kindness, this will, this desire to keep the world going is what Rabbi Nachman calls the Otzer Matnas Chinam. That this chesed chinam that Hashem had in the world, that prior to the Torah being given, this original will, this ratzon, this very fact that Hashem keeps the world sustained and in existence, this comes from Hashem's amazing chesed chinam, Hashem's supernal kindness, which he's also calling the Otzer Matnas Chinam, the treasury of unearned gifts, this storehouse, this Otzer treasury, matnas, gifts, chinam, free, right? This amazing treasury of unearned gifts that Hashem is giving out life and goodness to the entire creation, even if they themselves are far from the purpose or reason from creation. Hashem still created the world with this Otzer Matnas Chinam, this light. we're also going to say, I just want to preface this. It's a little bit technical. I don't want people to get lost in the technicality. But this Otzer Matnas Chinam, he also calls Derech Eretz Yisrael, that Hashem created the world with the light of Eretz Yisrael. Right? It's an amazing thing. You see the power of Kedushas Eretz Yisrael, that Hashem created the world with the light of Eretz Yisrael. And we're going to talk about more tonight. This is what I'm just foreshadowing a little bit. This is what Rabbi Nachman calls, that Rashi says on the first pasuk, Koach Maisav Higid La'amo. Why did Hashem start with Bereshis? Because Hashem said one day the non-Jews are going to say, listen, Matem, you're thieves. And somehow starting with, and you were going to say, Koach Maisav Higid La'amo. No, Hashem who created the world is Hashem could give the land to whoever he wants. We're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. Just to preface, he's going to say that the Derech Eretz Yisrael corresponds to the very reason, the foundation of why Hashem created the world. That there was something about Eretz Yisrael that corresponds again to the Otzer Matnas Chinam of why Hashem created the world. We're going to come back to that. I want to preface that so this way the seeds are planted and we come back to it, it will be a little bit clearer.
Does that have to do with the Evan Shasiya, which was where the world was created from the Evan? That's in Eretz Yisrael.
What does it happen to do with the Evan Shasiya?
No, I'm saying it does because the Hashem created the world from the rock. No, that was
Hashem created the world from the rock. So what are you saying?
So I'm saying is that it has to do with how Hashem is, Mekayim, and he's constantly, endowing the world with his goodness so that it goes forward, and that's how it's related to Eretz.
Saying that, okay. So for the audio and visitor listeners, what Tani's saying over here is in the Shir. You could all join us if you like, Thursday nights. What he's saying is that the Evan Shasiya is where Hashem manifests his will and keeps his flow coming into the creation over there. So you see that Eretz Yisrael and creation are synonymous with each other. In fact, I'm going to add to that the Ramchal writes in his Sefer Mishkanei Elyon, which is this Kabbalistic description of the third Beis HaMikdash based on Yechezkel's Nevuas. It's awesome. It's an amazing Sefer. It's a little thin Sefer where he talks about the third Beis HaMikdash based on Yechezkel. It's an amazing thing. He has an introduction there where he talks about the Evan Shasiya, and he explains that the Evan Shasiya is really the information superhighway. It's the umbilical cord of creation where the divine ideal manifests itself into the physical reality of this world. So if there were many, many, many superhighways all converging in the spiritual worlds at the time of creation, it all came through the Evan Shasiya to be, all those supernal lights intersected at that point of connection at the Evan Shasiya, that the world is show, so the world drinks from that light. It's definitely a connection. What are you going to say?
Like a tzinor.
Like a tzinor, yeah. It's a tzinor. Rav Kook speaks about this a lot in Oros as well. There are so many Maimorei Chazal that you could bring on this, but for the sake of the piece over here, I didn't want to dissect every line for days on end, because there's so much here about Torah's Eretz Yisrael that Rabbi Nachman himself, he said after he took 5 steps in Eretz Yisrael, he wanted anything that he wrote prior to that completely destroyed. That after walking Dalet Amos in Eretz Yisrael, he said, I've completely new hasagas. Anything I revealed beforehand was totally nothing compared to what I've received now after only walking 4 steps in Eretz Yisrael. Another thing they say that Rabbi Nachman said, that I've mentioned this in previous year, that he was a lover of Eretz Yisrael. Another thing that Rabbi Nachman said, Rav Nosson said, when you're talking about Eretz Yisrael, first of all, I love this thing over here. He says, when you're talking about Eretz Yisrael, Rav Nosson asked Rav Nachman, when you're talking about Eretz Yisrael, what are you referring to? And Rabbi Nachman said to him, I mean the rocks, I mean the houses, meaning to say that like people think of Eretz Yisrael like, oh, the Kedusha is a spiritual thing and it's Ruchnius and it's out there and, and that's Eretz Yisrael. Well, yes, that's definitely true. But Rabbi Nachman said not only is that true, but the rocks of Eretz Yisrael contain a Kedusha that other places don't have, right? The houses, right? You say, what's the difference? A rock in the United States and a rock in Eretz Yisrael, apparently, it doesn't look like that to me, but apparently on a deeper level, even that is kulo ruchnius, it's kulo part of the creation, the way the world was created, it's kulo kadosh. Okay? We're going to move on a little bit. You got me on a tangent about the about the Holy Land of Israel, okay? So again, we're talking about how the treasury of unearned gifts is manifest into this world, and why does it happen that a person Hashem created as part of design that at times a person needs to separate from Torah learning. So we said that there's something called this gift of this Otzer Matnas Chinam, this treasury of unearned gifts. And what we're saying is that basically what comes out of the bottom line of what we're talking about now is that this is a fine point, but it's an important point also, that this Otzer Matnas Chinam, this treasury of unearned gifts, the original will of God, of the Creator, manifest in the world in order to keep the world sustained with God's energy, it's considered a very, very high light. Which means if we're talking about here the Ratzon Elyon, the supernal God's godly divine will manifest, and his original intent behind creation, as we're saying, that keeps everything going, even people that are far from Torah learning. So it comes out that it's an extremely, extremely exalted light. It's an extremely, extremely high light, right? So this is the same light of Eretz Yisrael. This is the same light of Israel, right? As we were saying, that the world was created with this very high, exalted light. It was created with the light of Eretz Yisrael. It was created with the light of Israel. And I wanted to add a point on this also, that what does this mean that Hashem created the light, that he says, Rabbi Nachman is saying that the Tzaddik, he sustains himself in a time when he's very simple from the light, from the Derech Eretz Yirsael, the path to Israel. So I was just thinking in my own mind, I don't know if this is what Rabbi Nachman meant at all, but this is just how I understood it on a simple level, that when things get hard in a person's life, like even nowadays and things like that, so a person thinks to themselves, well, naturally, I could go to Israel, right? Like I think about in difficult times when the Jews were persecuted either in the Holocaust or in the Inquisition or throughout our history, whatever it is, there was a national longing, I'm sure, when the times got really difficult, that, oh, one day we'll be in Eretz Yisrael. One day there'll be a redemption. One day the Jews will turn and will have sovereignty over their land. And just this is what he's saying. I think that the path to Eretz Yisrael in a certain way is what sustains the tzaddik, what sustains the person, even when they're in a very low state, because you can have that vision of a path to Eretz Yisrael, the metaphoric path to Eretz Yisrael of just, the redemption, the geula, having a better life for yourself, having a better spiritual life for yourself. And therefore, at the time when a person's simple, they sustain themselves with the path to Eretz Yisrael. So I think it's an amazing thing over here. Now, again, before we jump in a little bit, I just want to flesh this out just a tad further before we go, because there's a lot of fine pieces over here. So basically, Rabbi Nachman sets up a quandary. Okay, what's the quandary? That we're talking about how this works, that the tzaddik receives this light at the time when he's the most simple, and then dishes it out to the rest of the world. So it's really a quandary, Rabbi Nachman saying, that the tzaddik doesn't really need to rely on Hashem's free gifts. Why? Because he has his own merits. But on the other hand, because this light is such a high light, it's not fair for the Rishayim to get it, because they don't really deserve it, because they're Rishayim, right? So why should the Rishayim get a light that the tzaddik can't even get, right? So the tzaddik has his own merits, so he doesn't need from the Otzer Matnas Chinam, the treasury of unearned gifts, this free, amazing, supernal light that Hashem put into the world to keep the world in existence, even people that are far from Torah. The tzaddik doesn't need to get from that light because he's a tzaddik. He has his own merits. He has his own schusum. He has his own things that he earned. So he really doesn't need to get from the light. But the quandary is, on the other hand, why should the Russia get from the light? It's such a high light that the Russia should get it. He shouldn't get it because he doesn't deserve it. So why should the Rasha, an evil person, be able to get from the light that the Tzaddik doesn't merit to? It's not fair. You hear the quandary? Right? The Tzaddik doesn't need it, and the Rasha shouldn't get it. So why is that? Why is that justice? So this is what Rabbi Nachman is saying, right? This is all this to come back to really answer the question that we started with. Why is it that Hashem made it that a person needs to be mavatal from Torah? A person has to spend time when they're not connected or learning from the Torah, right? Because Hashem made it that the tzaddik needs to be mavatal from Torah in order to receive from the Otzer Matnas Chinam. The tzaddik there needs to be a point where the tzaddik isn't connected to Torah. So now that he's not connected to Torah, he now gets from the Otzer Matnas Chinam. He's not getting from the Torah. He's getting from the Otzer Matnas Chinam, Hashem's treasury of unearned gifts. So Hashem wanted this light to come into the world. So Hashem created this system that it's impossible to stay on the same level always. This way, when you fall to a state of simplicity, when the tzaddik falls to a state of simplicity, that light now runs through the tzaddik and gets dished out into the entire world. Right? Now that answers the quandary. Right? Because the tzaddik really doesn't need it if he's learning Torah all day. So the answer is, and the Rasha shouldn't get it. So it answers the question that Rabbi Nachman started with, right? So why did Hashem make it that people need to move out from Torah? So the answer is to in a certain way to make it fair. The reason why it levels the playing field now is because now Hashem really wants this light in the world, right? So now Hashem's able to give that light to the Rishayim through the tzaddik, through the extraordinary individual whose merits to get that light. So therefore, Hashem made it, as we started with in the beginning of the lesson, that there are times when the tzaddik needs to be utterly pashut, needs to be utterly simple, needs to be a simple man. So this way it evens out the score, because now the Rishayim could get it through the tzaddik. Hashem's able to divvy out his light into the world through, Hashem's able to give out this super, super high light of the Otzer Matnas Chinam. So when a person's in that low state, they receive from that light, and that light goes out into the world. Amazing? So deep. It's so profound, because I think what comes at... Yeah?
I'm sorry. No, keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I think what comes out of all this, and this is going to play later into the lesson that we're not going to get to tonight, further down the road, but what comes out in all this is that everyone has a tzaddik. Everyone's a tzaddik on their own level. So you might not be tzaddik emes, the true tzaddik, but everyone is, all the Jewish nation, Amcha Nikra Kulam Tzaddikim, the entire Jewish nation is considered righteous. So it comes out that this is incredible, right? It comes out that when you have a yerida, when you fall into a lowish state, Hashem orchestrated that lowest state in order to be able to dish out his light of chesed chinam, of his light of unbridled kindness into the world. That Hashem, when you have a yerida, it comes out, you're now bringing his light of the Otzer Matnas Chinam into the world that's sustaining everything, the entire world in existence, because you had a yerida, right? That Hashem orchestrated this with exact divine providence in order for him to use you as a channel to bring out his highest level of supernal will, his highest level of chesed chinam, of the treasury of unearned gifts, of the path to Eretz Yisrael, his original will that he created the world, that light now gets dished out into the world through you, precisely because you fell. Because Hashem, you now merit to receive that light because you fell. So that's what Rabbi Nachman said, right? Why is it that a person has to be muvato from Torah? If Torah is your life, you should never have to be muvato. So the answer is that Hashem wanted to reveal his amazing divine light into the world and sustain creations that are even very, very far from Torah. And the only way, Kavayachol. The only way for him to do that is to put you in a place of Yerida. This way you're able to sustain other people through your falling, because now that manifests that light into the world.
So does this only apply to tzaddikim?
Oh, okay.
What about regular people that
does
have Yeridas?
So does this only apply to tzaddikim, or does this apply to regular people? So I was teetering a line over there. So I think, as far as I understand, although Rebbe Nachman says there's certainly something called a tzaddik, a emes, a true tzaddik, an extraordinary tzaddik, a tzaddik who is extremely high in their levels, that he definitely was referring to. Rav Nassan in Likutey Halachos, in explaining the piece, he seems to put it, although he also talks about the great tzaddik, he also seems to say that all the Jewish people are tzaddikim. So certainly every individual, there are different aspects, right? So certainly every individual, he was speaking to that as well. It means both are true. It's true on the individual level, and it's true on the big tzaddik level, right? Does that answer your question, Eli?
Yep, that's great.
That answers your question. So both are 100% true, and I think that really, it's interesting to me, because it's really the same thing with Eretz Yisrael, which means the Derech Eretz Yisrael here is the same thing. It means it's the conduit, it's the tzinor. This is what we were saying before. That Tani was mentioning that, as Rav Kook writes, that it was Eretz Yisrael is the tzinor, which Hashem brings his light manifest into the world. It means a supernal high light, a very high light. The Derech Eretz Yisrael is coming through the land of Israel itself. So you see, this is where all the things link up. The tzaddik, right, that we're saying on one hand, just for clarity's sake, on one hand, Hashem's light comes through the tzaddik, as Rabbi Nachman is saying. But as Reb Nassan was saying, and we're saying now between us as well, that every individual is considered a tzaddik. They might not be the ultimate tzaddik, but certainly Amcham Kula Tzaddikim, this happens when a Jew falls to a lower place, right? That's for sure. And also we're saying that Eretz Yisrael, all these three things, they all, in a certain way, they all encapsulate the same truth or the same spiritual principle or the same idea. They all manifest this light into the world. They all manifest this light into the world. It's good.
Isn't it similar, or it's similar but different to Zechus Avos, that we say that when anytime Klal Yisrael does something wrong, we invoke Zechus Avos, which brings down the chesed from Hashem. But this is anyway something which is even more different, which is just basically this Osar Mat Askinam, that we have always this backup because we're a Yidin and because of Eretz Yisrael, that Hashem is giving us access to this just by nature.
Just by nature, yeah. Totally, just by nature. But it's also Schus Avos, which means, like you're saying about Schus Avos, like we say, Lekei Avram, Lekei Yitzchak, Lekei Yaakov, right? We're saying that because we're connected to these great tzaddikim, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, who their entire life wanted to be in Eretz Yisrael, right? Avram has spent his whole life looking for Vayares Hamakom. Where's the place? Oh, my camera, did I freeze?
The Evan Shasiya, that's the place, no?
Yeah, hold on, did I freeze?
You froze, but that's okay.
We could hear you, though.
Okay.
You could shut off your camera and turn it back on if that's okay.
Let me do that, yeah. Let me do that. Hold on a second. Technical difficulties. Hold on, I froze. Give me a second over here. Let me just deal with the technical difficulties.
Is that Brownie?
That's my profile picture. You like that one, huh? Hold on. Let me just stop the recording. We're back from our technical difficulty over there. The camera shut down in the middle. But we are back. So I think we were saying about the Avos that it's the same thing that we're saying. We're connecting to the Avos, right? Oh, it's talking about Avram. It says Vayares Hamakom, that Avram saw the place. His entire life, he was looking for the place where the divine, he was looking for the Derech Eretz Yisrael, right? That's Lech Lecha, right? Where's the path to Eretz Yisrael? Where's the path where this Hashem's amazing light comes in? And that ultimately, that comes out to the Evan Shasiya, like we were saying before, and in Eretz Yisrael. Now let's jump into the piece. Yeah, we're jumping into the piece now. Okay, let me do a screen share. Screen share, and we're jumping in over here. Okay, So, okay, so we're going to take it from, you see where I highlighted.
Which
so
sif or
so we're in Ayin Ches, lesson 78, in the second chelek, in the second part, Tinyana.
okay.
So we're in Tinyana.
Wait a second. Okay, good.
Okay, we're good. Now we're jumping in the middle, Ellie. I don't know if you're going to be able to find it over here. I have
Okay,
highlighted.
I'll follow along with your screen. That's
Okay,
easier.
you'll follow along with the screen. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm going to start where I have these two lines. If you could see my mouse, I have schus klav v'chi yizkev shulze ach be'emes harasha bevade einu makabel misham. You see that? Okay, if you guys can see it. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start from the green over here, where I highlighted in green. Shezeu b'chinas kodem kabbalas matan Torah. You guys see that? Okay.
Yep.
So just to pick up the runoff, like we're saying, that when the tzaddik receives this light, so now all of a sudden he's able to dish that out into the world. Why? Because of this quandary that we're saying, that the Russia doesn't deserve the light, but the tzaddik doesn't need the light. So Hashem organizes the creation. Hashem arranges the Ashkacha Pratis in such a way that the tzaddik should fall. There are times that he needs to be simple. There are times that he needs to be Payrish min HaTorah in order to delve out that light now into the world. So now Rabbi Nachman is going to say, and this is how Hashem kept the world going prior to Kabbalas HaTorah, which is in Yonei Diyoma. Oh yeah, in Yonei Diyoma, right? So it says, Shezeu b'chinas kodem Kabbalas HaTorah. This is what happened to the world prior to the giving of the Torah. Shaya miskayim ha'olam b'chesed chinam levad. That Hashem kept the world going through his chesed chinam, his free kindness. B'chinas kila olam chazdo. Like it says, Hashem's kindness endures forever. Hane'emar al kodem matan Torah. This was said about prior to the giving of the Torah, kamuva, like the Gemara brings. Hine esrim v'shisha kila olam chazdo keneged me. The 26 times it says kila olam chazdo, what does that correspond to? Keneged esrim v'shisha doros. That corresponds to the 26 generations prior to the giving of the Torah. Ki az lo haya shum Torah, because then there wasn't any Torah. Vayu osken rak b'yishuv ha'olam u'b'derech eretz. And at that time, the main thing was inhabiting the world and derech eretz. Kumo, like we say, a person should have derech eretz, right? Act with respect. Derech eretz. Kumo she'amru rabbeinu zechrono l'bracha, like Chazal bring the medrash, gedola derech eretz shekadma l'Torah esrim v'shisha doros. That derech eretz is so great. Derech eretz is so great that it existed 26 generations prior to giving the Torah. So you see that he's already making connection between Derech Eretz, as we've been saying, and the creation of the world itself. Okay? And then prior to the Torah giving, how was the world sustained? It was through Chesed Chinam. It was through this concept that we're calling Derech Eretz. Ube'emes gam koidem kabbalas Torah. Now he's gonna change gears a little bit, right? Ube'emes gam koidem kabbalas Torah, and the truth is, prior to the giving of the Torah, bevade gam az haisa Torah b'mitzias. For sure, the Torah still existed, right? It wasn't physically given in that sense, but it certainly existed. Ki Torah hi nitzchis, because the Torah is eternal. Amnan az kodem matan Torah haisa Torah behelem behester. But so, what changed after the giving of the Torah, and what happened prior? Prior to the giving of the Torah was hidden. Hainu, ki kol haTorah klula ba'aseres hadibros. The entire Torah was incorporated in the aseres hadibros, in the 10 commandments, or the 10 sayings. Ba'az kodem matan Torah hayu aseres hadibros ne'elamim ba'aseres maimaros shebehem nivra olam. And prior to giving the Torah, the aseres hadibros, the 10 commandments, they were hidden in the Asar Maimaros, the 10 utterances that Hashem created the world with. I'm going to explain that in a second. Nimse, Shahaisa Kola Torah Kula Ne'elamas V'Nesteres B'Toch Yishuv HaOlam. So it comes out the entire Torah was actually hidden and subterfuged in the settling, inhabiting of the world. Shenivra ba'asar ma'amaros, which was created with the 10 utterances. Ubechol hadiburim shel ha'olam v'chol ha'avodas v'asiyos, and everything that a person speaks and all the things that happen, all the happenings, all the actions. Hein, this incredible thing that he says. Hein mi shechotev eitzim, whether it's a person who's a wood chopper, it's like the Shlomo Karbach story. Oh, eza avoda sheheya, or anything, any work that they were doing. Bekulam ne'elam haTorah, everything was hidden in it, was hidden and disguised in the Torah. Ke'akol nivra ba'asar ma'amaros asher sham haTorah ne'elamas v'nistaros kodem haTorah. It was all hidden in. It was all hidden in the Aseres Hadibros, in the Sar Maimaros, which was all happened prior to Kabbalas Torah. Just explain this for a second. It gets deeper. Just when you thought it didn't get deep, it gets deeper. All right. So he's saying this just to explain the Sar Maimaros. Or second, it's a mission in Pirkei Avos. So Sar Maimaros Nivra Olam. Why? To give reward to the Tzaddikim, to punish the Rishayim. And basically, what are the Sar Maimaros? It says 10 times. Really says 9 times in the creation story in Parshas Bereshis. It says the word Vayomer. Vayomer Hashem Kior. Vayomer Hashem this. Vayomer Hashem that. Right. So it says Vayomer 9 times. The first time that's called a mimer. The first time it says Bereshis. Now Bereshis is considered a mimer, even though it didn't say Vayomer. But Bereshis is considered a the Zohar calls it, Rabbi Nachman brings it in other places called a Chatzia Maimer or a Maimer Ne'elam, a hidden saying, which means Bereshis was Hashem speaking in existence coming into reality on whatever level that was. But nevertheless, Bereshis is considered a hidden Maimer, Chatzia Maimer. Therefore, when we say Asar Maimaris Nivra Olam, it includes Bereshis because essentially it says Vayomer 10 times, except for the first saying of Bereshis, which is also considered a mimer in its own right. So Rabbi Nachman is saying that prior to the Torah being given, how was the world sustained? It was sustained through the Asar Maimara Shenivra Ha'olam, that these 10 sayings, the 10 utterances, the 10 Maimaros Hashem created the world with, that kept the world going. But then he's like doubles back and he says, well, of course, Torah was still in existence. It just wasn't manifest in this world in the way that we think of Torah. But Torah's nitzchias. It's total, eternal. It's completely, it's forever, right? So if so, the Torah must have been in existence. So how did Hashem keep the world? Because the Asar Maimara Shenivra Olam correspond to the Aseres Hadibros, correspond to the 10 sayings. Commandments, not really the best translation, but I'm just going to call it 10 commandments, right? It corresponds to the 10 commandments. And the 10 commandments are standalone in the sense, of course, all Torah is important. Every word's important. And this is a much debated thing. Do you stand for the Aseres Hadibros, right? The Rambam and the other Rishonim, do you not stand? Because is one part of Torah more important than the other part of Torah, right? If one letter is missing, the whole thing's not good. So why would you stand for the Aseres Hadibros? Halachic Shaila, ask a posek. But either way, Apipanemius that we're learning is that the Aseres Hadibros, they incorporate the entire Torah, right? So the Torah was hidden. So therefore, in a certain way, any action, even a wood chopper, anything that a person was doing, they were getting sustained from the Sar Maimaros, from the Derech Eretz, from the Torah Ne'elamos, from the hidden Torah. And that's how Hashem kept the world in existence prior to the giving of the Torah. Back inside. V'hat Tzaddik, the green highlight. V'hat Tzaddik. B'shah sheporish min haTorah, v'hu b'chinas ish pashat. Right? But the Tzaddik, at the time when he separates from Torah and he's considered a simple Jew, hu mekabachias meb'china zu shel kodem matan Torah. He receives his light from this light of before Matan Torah. V'zeh b'chinas derech shel Eretz Yisrael hanemar lamala. This is the aspect of Derech Eretz Yisrael that we said above. Shat tzaddik mechaya atzmo v'eis pshituso misham. That the tzaddik gets strength from this light of before Matan Torah, this light of Derech Eretz Yisrael, this light of the Torah Ne'elamas, this light of the Aseres Hadibros, this light of the Otzar Matnaschinam. Meaning all these, it's like a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle. If you're not used to learning this, means all these things, they really point towards this same concept, the same truth. So they all represent or are the same thing. Okay.
Is it related to the Or Haganos that Hashem made by creation, that he took it and hid it?
So is it related to the Or Haganos? So I'll tell you what I think. And I'll strengthen your. So I want to ask the question for the video and audio listeners. Does this correspond to the Or Haganos? So the truth is I'm not really a Kabbalist. I don't really know. I don't know more than what I'm sharing with you guys. If I knew more, I could share more, but I don't really know. So I'm sure each one of these lights are refracted in a different way, like the Or Haganos. Like I was wondering also, as I was learning this, I don't have an answer to the question. I was thinking about asking some people that would know that. Is this also, Rabbi Nachman says in lesson 12 in the second Chelek Tinyana, in his famous lesson of Aye Mikom Kavodo, Amir Tashem, we'll get to that. I don't know when we're going to learn it, but it's an amazing, it's one of his most famous pieces, incredible piece. But he says that there's also, as I was talking before about this Bereshis, that Bereshis is a Chatzi Mimer. It's like a half a Mimer. It's the most powerful and potential and potent Mimer that exists. It's this hidden Mimer. It's a Mimer Sussum. Like, did he mean this also? Did he mean the Derech Eretz Yirsael? Right? When Rabbi Nachman talks about Aye, searching for God and revealing this hidden light, did he mean the same thing? Is it the same light? Is the light of Otzer Matnas Chinam the same light of the Maimer Bereshis? I don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer to the question, but I was wondering that also. Is it the same light as the Or Haganos? We're just calling it different things? I don't know. Maybe next year I'll have an answer. I actually wanted to ask this question to some people that could possibly know the answer to this question. Okay, we're weiter in the text. Ki Iker Koach Kedushas Eretz Yisrael, and we foreshadowed this a little bit tonight. Ki Iker, it's the second of the green highlighted on the page. Ki Iker Koach Kedushas Eretz Yisrael hu al yidei bechinas Koach Ma'asev Higid la'amo. Right, this is the first Rashi in the Torah. Right, the main Kedushas Eretz Yisrael, the main power of the holiness of Eretz Yisrael is through this aspect of Koach Ma'asev Higid la'amo. Hashem told his strength to the nation, Lates lahem nachlas gayim, right, to give them inheritance to the gayim. Kamosha Perish Rashi b'pasuk Bereshis, like Rashi says in Bereshis. The Shviel Zeh Pesach b'Bereshis. This is why the Torah opened with Bereshis. Shelo Yomer Gazlu Matem. Right, there's the first Rashi in the Torah. That why did Hashem open with Bereshis? To teach that the nations of the world shouldn't say you're thieves. Right? Al Kain Pesach b'Bereshis. Therefore, the Torah opened with Bereshis. Kahu Yisbarach Barakol. Hashem, he's quoting from Rashi now. Hashem created everything. Ubertsono nas lehem, ubertsono lakach lehem. Right? That the reason why Hashem started with Bereshis and not the first, let me say that again. The reason why the Torah starts with Bereshis, Rashi asks a question. Why does the Torah start with Bereshis? It should start with the first mitzvah in the Torah, right? Which is Achodesh Hazeh Lachem. So why does it start with Bereshis? So he gives a whole answer over there. Rashi gives a whole answer over there that the reason why Hashem started with Bereshis is to teach Koach Ma'asev Higid la'amo. Hashem wanted to teach his strength, that one day the non-Jews are going to say that Listim Atem, you went ahead and you stole. I mean, who would ever think that they would do such a thing? Who would ever think that people would say you stole Eretz Yisrael? I mean, really? So anyways, Rashi says that people are going to say you stole Eretz Yisrael, and what are we going to answer them back? Well, we signed in the Balfour Declaration that Lord Balfour gave us the rights to our land, and no, that's not what Rashi says. Although that is definitely true, right? But he says that we're going to say, well, Hashem giveth, Hashem taketh, right? Hashem created the world, and He created the world, and you were living in the land. Now Hashem took the land from you and gave it to us. Simple. Simple. Right? So he's going to say, Rabbi Nachman's going to say, why does he bring this in? Because he's going to say, Koach Ma'asev Higid la'amo, Hashem wanted to teach us strength, means that there's something about the light of Eretz Yisrael which predates the creation, as we've been saying this whole time, that the light of Eretz Yisrael Hashem created the world with the light of Eretz Yisrael, with the Derech Eretz Yirsael. And this is what you see, that the reason why we have a certain power in Eretz Yisrael is because Hashem created the world with Asara Maimara Shenivra Olam, and Hashem infused the world with Eretz Yisrael, and Hashem could give it to whoever he wants, and Hashem could take it to whoever he wants, right? But it's precisely because Hashem created the world. What does that mean, to be like razor sharp? It means that Hashem created an Otzer Matnas Chinam, which gets manifest in the world. And the whole reason why the entire world, even the non-Jews, are able to exist is coming from Hashem's Chesed Chinam that he put into the world. If so Hashem could give the land to us. Hashem could give the land to another nation. It doesn't really make a difference, right? It's pretty cool, right? It needs to be worked out a little bit, but we're going to read more. We're going to read more. Back to the screen share. Okay. She'ikar koch Eretz Yisrael hu bechinas asar ma'imara she'hem nivra olam she'hem bechinas koch ma'asev she'al yedei zeh she'Yisrael yuchon leilech Eretz Yisrael means the Jewish people had the right in order to conquer Eretz Yisrael because they're the ones who bring the spiritual sustenance to the world, which gets manifest through the land of Eretz Yisrael. Okay. Vigam. Now he's gonna switch gears a little bit, and this other green highlighted thing. Vigam kan b'chutz la'aretz, and here too, even in chutz la'aretz, right? Rabbi Nachman lived in. When he said this, I think he actually lived in Uman, but he only lived in Uman the last 6 months of his life. He went there to die. Even in Ukraine, mister. Begam kan b'chutz la'aretz, here in chutz la'aretz, nimsa b'chinazu, we find this. Ki Yisrael am kadosh b'im lepam b'makom shayu rechoikim ma'od mekedushas Yisrael. There are times when the Jewish people come to very far places that are far from the kedusha of the Holy Land. Kigon b'makom shayu mitchila sha'akum, like in a place that was originally non-Jews. Begam achshav hu bereshus mishu rachok ma'od mekedushas Yisrael. And now there are people who live there that are very far from the Kedusha of a Jew. The Yisrael ba'im l'sham, and the Jewish nation goes there, v'kovshim hamakom, and they conquer or they inhabit the land, u'makachna so she'eh makom Yisrael, and they make it Jewish. So zeh gam kein b'chinas Eretz Yisrael. This is also like Eretz Yisrael. That this, just to recap what he's saying that even in chutz la'aretz, even in diaspora, a person goes to their place wherever they are, and what happens is the Jews bring the Kedusha, and it winds up giving blessing to the land that they're in. Just like when the Tzaddik falls to a simple level, he delves out blessing and the Shefa to the world. So too when the Jews go to even a place in Chutz La'aretz, now they bring that ruchnius and blessing to the land, which is something we absolutely see as true, right? One thing that it called to mind was that the Arizal says, everyone knows this, a lot of Sfarim bring this, that it says in Mitzrayim, they left with a Rachash Gadol, with a great wealth. So the Arizal brings, and many Sfarim bring that, what was this Rachash Gadol? This Rachash Gadol, this great wealth, was the Nitzotzos, that they lifted out all the Nitzotzos in Eretz Yisrael, the holy sparks there, and therefore they didn't need to go back. And that's why it's an Isser in the Torah to move to Mitzrayim, right? Is a move to Mitzrayim, and that's why it says the king can't have many horses because they're going to go back to Mitzrayim, because once they were Milo all the Nitzotos, so then there was nothing left, which means the Jewish people bring the Kedusha to that place, and when the Jews live there, it's a successful civilization. We also see this, I was thinking historically, that like any place the Jews lived, it flourished, and when they got thrown out or they left, it basically went to a wasteland. Because all the spiritual sustenance, even though these places are far from Kedusha, they're able to get influenced from the Shefa, from the Otzer Matnas Chinam that the Jewish nation brings down into the world from them inhabiting that place. Pretty amazing? Amazing? I think it's amazing. Okay, I'm going to read to the end of the paragraph over here. And then we're going to go on to the Shevuos Connection and Megilas Rus Connection. We're going to go a few minutes longer than normal. Is that okay, guys? It's okay. Okay. And the nations could say, you're thieves. They're going to say you conquered their land, and it's not yours. It's only yours through the power of Hashem's hands, which is the Yasar Maimaras. because Hashem is the one who's endowing with life, and we're the ones who bring life gets manifest in the world through the Jewish nation. Therefore, we have the ability to go any place that we want and in order to inhabit it. Because Hashem created it, and Hashem gave it to us. Nimsa. Sha'asar ma'mara shehem melubashim derech eretz haynu b'yishuva olam ki nivra olam hem derech eretz ayde b'chinas asar ma'mara yichom lichbosh Eretz Yisrael. Right? It comes out that the shehem melubu that the asar ma'maros are enclosed in the Eretz Yisrael, which is inhabitants of the world. Derech Eretz Yisrael ki hem nivra olam hem derech Eretz Yisrael ki ayde b'chinas asar ma'maros yichom lichbosh Eretz Yisrael. That through the power of the asar ma'maros, you're able to connect to Eretz Yisrael. I'm debating whether I should read to the end. I don't know if I want to keep you guys. Are you guys able to stay longer or not? There's no pressure. Should I read to the end? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
I have to log off in 5 minutes, so.
Okay, so let me wind down then. Yeah, I'll wind down. Okay, we're gonna give our Shevuos connection now, and then we're going to then we'll give a Rus connection. So the Shevuos connection is as follows. Right? One is a lesson in simplicity. Right? We see the greatness of simplicity, how good it is to be simple. Right? That now that Hashem gave that through simplicity, a person's able to reach a very, very, very high light. Right? A person's able to receive a higher light in many ways than they would have been received had they not been simple. It means a person becomes a better kli in order now to receive whatever light of the Torah that they're going to receive. When they make yourself simple, you're able to receive a greater light. So we all know that in order to receive the Torah, for Kabbalas Torah, that you need to be like a simple vessel, right? That's why we eat dairy, because if you keep dairy in fancy vessels, it spoils, right? So you want it to be, you want to keep it in simple vessels. So too we need to be simple. And now that a person made them simple, they're able to receive a higher light than they would have originally. And the Baal Shem Tov, there's a famous Baal Shem Tov that says, the pasuk says, Torah Hashem Tamima, the Torah of Hashem is whole. Eidos Hashem Ne'emanim Machkimas Pasi, right? The statutes of Hashem, the testimony of Hashem is trustworthy, and it's Machkimas Pasi. It makes it wisens the fool, the idiot. Right, so the Baal Shem Tov says, if you want the Torah to be machimas you, first you have to make yourself into a pesi. If you want the Torah to make yourself smart, you have to make yourself into a pesi. You have to make yourself into a fool. In our context, what this means is you have to make yourself into a simple Jew. You have to make yourself prustig, not to pretend you know more than you know, to be humble and come to Hashem with tmimus and tmimus, with pshitas and tmimus. Okay, that was one connection. Now we're going to go to the Rus connection. I happen to love Rus. It's amazing Rus connection. First pasuk over here is exactly the concept that Rabbi Nachman was saying. Rus opens up, V'hi b'mei shofet hashoftim, v'hi ra ba'aretz v'yelech ish mi beis lechem Yehuda l'gor b'stei Moav, hu v'ishto shtei banav. So it's the time when the judges judge their judges. V'yihi ra ba'aretz, there was a famine in the land. V'yelech ish, doesn't say who it was, a man went from the city of Beis Lechem, of Bethlehem, located in Yehuda, l'gor b'stei Moav, to live in the fields of Moab. Hu v'ishto ushtei banav, him, his wife, and his 2 kids. Rashi says, Vayelech ish. Well, that's interesting. You just tell me his name. Rashi says, Asher gadol haya u'mefarnes hador. Right? He was wealthy, and he sustained the entire generation. Sounds like the Tzaddik. Vayetze me'eretz Yisrael, l'chutz la'aretz, and he left Eretz Yisrael to go to chutz la'aretz, mipnei tzaras ayin, because he was stingy. So he left the Derech Eretz Yisrael. Shahaisa einoi tzara be'einehem, habayim l'dochko l'kach anish, because his eyes, he was stingy in a certain way, so he got punished. So who was this ish? This ish was Elimelech, right? So Elimelech was the tzaddik hador, that the entire generation got supported through this great tzaddik, And he went away in a certain way, if we could say such a thing. He went away from the Derech Eretz Yisrael, so he was no longer able to connect to that light of Eretz Yisrael. So you see that it was because of Elimelech, the entire generation was sustained. Another thing over here about this, and we're gonna tie this all together. That it says over here, what does it mean that there was a fast in the land? So the Rav Bartanur explains that there was a spiritual hunger in the land. That it wasn't just a physical famine, it was a spiritual famine. So there was a spiritual famine in the land, and then basically, because there was a spiritual famine in the land, he went to this place called Beis Lechem, the house of bread, where he'd be able to sustain himself from a certain sustenance over there, right? So you see that there's spiritual hunger rampant in the land. Means Elimelech was the Tzaddik Hador, but the entire world fell to this level of Shitas. It fell from its high madrega, and it went to this level of Shitas. And just like Elimelech also had to leave, and he fell to this level of Shitas. And then it says over here in Pasuk 6, it says there's an amazing targum. It says V'teitzei hamakom asher haisa shamu shtei kalasei ima v'telchanu b'derech l'yashu v'eretz Yehuda. So this is, I think, this is after her son's Naomi. She now wants to return back to Eretz Yisrael after Machlon and Kilion die, and she wants to start heading back to her hometown because her husband died, Machlon and Kilion died, everyone died. So the targum says over here, what does it mean that they V'takum hivikalas shigara v'tashem stay Moab ki shama b'stay Moab ki paket Hashem es amal lateis lahem lechem. And Hashem remembered the nation. Hashem remembered Beis Lechem. Hashem pakat as amal. Why did Hashem remember the nation? So the targum says unafka. Sorry, wrong targum. Hold on. Who just says v'takum he. Kamas he v'kalasea. He and Rus and Naomi and her daughter-in-law got up. V'tavas mechaka Moab, and they uprooted themselves from Moab. Arum isbaser bechaka Moab al pum melacha. Arum dechara Hashem yas ame beis Yisrael limintan lehon lachma. Right. So now they wanted to get up and go back to Eretz Yisrael, their hometown, the house because Hashem, they heard that there's going to be food there. So why did Hashem remember? So Targum says, begin schuse de ivsan negida. Ubetzelusea detzali kadam Hashem. Right, it says Ivsan, who was Boaz, who was the shofet of the generation as well, he davened. And because he davened for the entire generation, that made it that the entire world, that ended the famine in Eretz Yisrael. So there was this Yerida that allowed the Tzaddik Hador to delve out bring down this very, very high light into the world in order to fix the world from its fixing. And this all took place in Eretz Yisrael. I don't know if that was an exact connection, but that's what I was thinking. Now you see that Ivtzan davened, and when he davened, because there was a famine, there was this fallen in Madrega that happened. So Ivtzan davened, and that brought down the light into the entire world. And because that brought light into the entire world, it ended the famine. It ended the famine in the land. And that's the end of the shir for tonight, guys. You should all have an amazing Shevuos. You should have a good Shabbos.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Shaya.
be a chizuk for Yom Yerushalayim. It should be a chizuk for Yom Yerushalayim.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, needs honorable mention. And that's a wrap, guys.
Good.
Good Shabbos, Shaya. Thank you.
Shabbos,
Excellent.
guys.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Take care.
Have a good one.